What is Waldorf education, and why does the world need it?
That's the question for me,
Yep,
I guess. So we're all already going, so to speak.
straight into it.
Yes, yes, that is a very good question. I just want to come from this perspective. Um, uh, Maybe you know that I have written two books about this subject.
Yeah, I read the first one yesterday.
Yeah, oh, cool. Yeah, so the second one actually it starts with the explanation. It's not an explanation for your question, but it's an explanation for why it was important for me
Mm?
to go on with this, because I went to this Waldorf school in Stockholm. It's like the oldest one in Sweden, Kristofferskolan. And I went through all the years there, like first grade and like primary school, secondary, and upper secondary school as well. So
Hmm.
12 years. And but I didn't come from like an anthroposophical family. I had like a normal family, so to speak. So, but my sister went there, and I felt I wanted to go to the same school like she did. So that's why I started, and I actually enjoyed it. But it was different from like my normal situation. I was living in the completely other end of town in the south of Stockholm, Hammarbyhöjden, and so I had to go with subway like for half an hour to get to Bromma, where this was already when I was like a little boy, so to speak. And but I really enjoyed it all the time. But then happened a strange thing when I was in fifth grade. When we came up in the morning, it was like it's up on a hill actually. This school, so you have to walk like a little bit, and then you come up and we have like small houses for the small children, and then one big house, and it's actually in Swedish it's called a big house.
Hmm.
So
No
and
need to
on the,
complicate things.
yeah, exactly. So on that big house, someone had written with like really big black letters. It said, um, "Fucking Nazi school."
Hmm.
It said. Yeah, so it was like a shock to us, I think, when we were in grade five. So we went into the classroom, and we had a male teacher. His name was Kai Trop. So we asked him, "Have you seen what they have written on the big house?" We said, "Yeah, he had seen it," and he told us to like sit down. The whole class was sitting down, and then a girl in my class, she was always this one like asking questions to the teacher. Um, so she asked him, but is it so? Is it true? Are we a Nazi school?" She said to him, and then he said, "No, we are quite the opposite. We are the opposite. In fact," he said. Um, and that's what my second book is about. Actually, trying to find out how he could be so sure, and you know. It really made like an impact on me that he was like this morally upright person in this situation. So the second book I wrote like to try to find the same like the indications in Rudolf Steiner's thoughts, like the founder of the first Waldorf Steiner school.
Mm.
Could I find like clear indications of this anti-fascist, nationalist or Nazi? Like, what is it in his philosophy that is like clear on this matter, so to speak?
And did you find any particular answers that stuck out to you, like that really that you found sort of solace in, I guess? Did your questions get answered in this exploration in the new book?
Yeah, they did. And I have to say, because being a Waldorf teacher, I have been that for 26 years, and also going to this school, so it was quite a relief to me to find like clear answers on these matters, because I don't want to be the one, you know.
Who doesn't have the answer when children ask?
Yeah. Not only that, I'm building my whole life on being this Waldorf teacher now. So I have to be able to think it's a good thing, you know. It has to be clear to me that it's something that is like for the future and has this like altruistic quality to it. That's important to me.
Yeah.
So I really did find this. He has this approach about the internationalism, like the anti-nationalism. He thinks that nationalism can never come with anything good in the modern times, and when he's saying this, he's referring to the First World War.
Mm-hmm.
and all like that got messed up in that time, so to speak. And he and the first anthroposophists, they were building this big house, the Goetheanum, in Switzerland. You say Switzerland in English. Yeah. And people came there. It was like a neutral ground for people who didn't want to participate in the First World War, and they were from many nationalities working together on that building, and that is like also like a manifestation of that. And I don't know how he would have reacted to the Second World War coming after his death, so to speak. But I think he would be really critical about the development in Germany and so on.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about the history about Steiner, and what was his background, and how did the school start the system and the philosophy?
Okay. All right. Yeah. That is like a long story, but he came from kind of humble backgrounds in the part of Germany that is now Hungary, and but he was like this. I mean, he was like a really intellectual, and he got like the archives of Wolfgang von Goethe. Um, he took care of that, and I'm not the expert on this whole background, but the thing is that he was always able to see things that was like what do you say, invisible actually. So he had this clairvoyant abilities. Uh, so that was always a question for him, because I think the world in Germany at that time was really like kind of strict, and at the same time, you know, people were like, I think after the Enlightenment, you know, the romantics came, and like spiritual questions, and I think people felt that that something was missing in this very materialistic life.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also Rudolf Steiner himself felt like that. So he joined the existing like theosophical movement at that time. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. So you would say his sort of own philosophy emerged out of the theosophy that was already existent in his
Yeah,
surroundings.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he developed it or changed something, or
Yeah, he really developed it.
or did he make it more practical, because he has put it into like architecture and education and all these different spheres.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed the both things that he actually did. He developed it, and he also felt like there's no use for these kind of spiritual thoughts if you can't manifest them and bring them to any practical use, so to speak. So that's what he did, like in the last part of his life, because first he started with like lecturing, and maybe you know that he lectured actually a lot. This guy, he, he there is like 6,000 lectures, I think, by him, and over 20 books written by him. So he was like really hardworking,
Yeah.
yeah, in this field. But the thing is that he took this the theosophical. It was founded by this Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, who is a Russian clairvoyant woman in the mid-80s, and her notions and ideas were like the, what do you say in English? I think it is comparative religion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So you see that all the religions that we have, they have like likenesses, and that is in itself like a proof that it's that it isn't bullshit actually, because so many people came to the same conclusions about these things.
Mm.
And she also, this Madame Blavatsky, she also found that some of the notions in like the old Vedic texts, they resonate with like very, at her time, very modern, normal mainstream science. She could like make connections.
Yeah.
And I think this was very inspiring to Rudolf Steiner, I think, at that time. So I think that's actually the main point. He finds this like very interesting, and I think he was really like a really intelligent person. So I think he sees like the potential for what he can develop out of this, so to speak.
And focusing on education and pedagogy, because that's your specialty, what came out of it? What is the foundation of the system, would you say, for education specifically?
For the Waldorf education,
Yeah.
The main point of it is that you can see what happens if you can't connect things with the modern life seems to separate everything from each other, and that leads to bad decisions. Rudolf Steiner thought. He could see like the modern architecture wasn't like listening to the environment that it was placed into. He felt like this says something about the modern man, that he has lost like the connection to nature and to the world. So and in a sense he thought that this First World War was also like an indication of this, that you have lost like your inner sense of what morality is, and how everything connects, and how all the people connect, and that we are all in a sense all the same. So what he wanted was like an holistic education. That is it is the conclusion that he made. So everything has to be connected. And how do you do that? You have to do that in so many different ways, I think.
One of the central ways is the mythic story.
Yeah.
And like the Kärnan, you could say, of the West, maybe.
Yeah.
And going very far back to Mesopotamia and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a strong emphasis in the practical part with the kids, where like traditions in like that are built into the school year are you have like games which are supposed to situate the children in the story, like they're playing the characters, like
exactly
dragons and heroes. And tell me about that. What's the purpose of that? Why is it so important?
Yeah. Oh, this is like a central question, and it's so interesting, I think. I listened to this, we have like this famous person in Sweden called Fredrik Lindström. He has this TV show, På spåret. It's like a very famous show, but he had this program about playing on radio now, this winter program, and then he in the middle of the program he says that he had read like some science about dreaming. that our body is using a lot of energy actually to manifest that we are dreaming at night. And his conclusion was that the body doesn't do anything. It doesn't use that amount of energy for anything that isn't really important. And that is such an interesting thought, I think. So dreaming and storytelling, you can have this instinct, and playing, it has something to do, everything has is connected in some way here. And it has something to do with your feeling and your gut feeling, and it has something to do with getting to know your inner sense of what is right and what is wrong, I think. So yeah, it's something in this area. I think that you are interesting, exactly like me, to listen to like different YouTubers and stuff like that. And one that I find fascinating now is this Alex O'Connor, who is he is in a sense Darwinistic, atheistic person, but like very open-minded and always trying to find like the truth. So that's why I like him, even if we don't agree on many things, so to speak. But he said that when you see something that is, you know, a poor person who sits outside the store begging for money, and you see someone who is cruel to them, like goes by and kicks them or something, and if you are like close by and you witnesses this, something inside you is like screaming no. It's and he uses this notion to actually criticize himself about that all our moral concepts are like concepts, and we have learned them in our education systems or by reading books and stuff like that, teaches us what is right or what is wrong, but this inner feeling that something screams no inside you, it actually tells you a different story that comes from the inside, so to speak. Do you see what I'm getting at?
I guess so. I mean, it's like embodiment of the story, the moral story through ritual.
Yeah.
And I didn't go that many years to a Waldorf school. I went in the high school years.
Yeah.
But I saw that through the years, the grades, you get to put on these different roles. Like I think the very small children were like angels or something. And then when you were like maybe between 8 and 12 or something, you were kind of the hero or the one who was battling. And then the oldest kids were dragons or something like that. So you get to try on these different roles. And I guess because these stories are evolved, they're not like written down and manipulated, because they grew out of a verbal tradition, right?
Yeah.
There is something about just the structure of our cognition that has shaped them. Something like that, like the implicit reaction that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they get to try on all of these and see if what feels best. Is it me being the hero, or is it me being the angel, or is it?
Oh, that's a cool way to look at it, I think, to try on the different costumes here. Because I think that we are everything. We are the angels, and we are the dragons, and we are the heroes. It's all inside of us. And that is what makes me so disappointed with people these days, when they don't understand the value of like folk tales and I mean bedtime stories, because people have gotten confused about this and think it's about like the damsel in distress that that there is a weak woman and a strong man and stuff like that. But I think it's the television shows and Walt Disney and uh, like pictures who showed us like Snow White looking like a good-looking woman. That is what made us confused about this, because I remember very clearly when I was told bedtime stories when I was little, and when I saw like the prince in my imagination or the princess, I didn't see them like clearly like people at all. I saw like a light or a tone or a feeling. Every person, like the princess and the dragon, everyone was like unclear and much more like something like that. Do you understand what I mean by tone and or like light or color or something like that? Was my feeling when I was a kid, and in many ways it still is when I listen to like folk tales. They have like this dreamy sense to them, and to me they tell the story that I am the princess myself, and I am the prince or the knight or the dragon sometimes, and the old witch. I am everyone. That's my position about folk tales, and these kind of ritual games is the same thing. It's getting to know yourself.
And it's the intuitive side also. Like it's not just I can't remember the exact terms you use in the book, but you take a few different examples. Like one is the very modern neuroscience, a la Ian McGilchrist, and that's the left and right hemispheres. And it's ratio and non-ratio or something like that, like rational and non-rational.
It's this. Jonna Bornemark takes this Nicolaus Cusanus and rationality and intellectus he has, and then
right. That's the principle that.
And this ignorantia that. It's like three. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess, some sort of reason or very structured cognition on one side.
Yeah.
And then the dream or vision on the other side.
Yeah.
And there's something that mediates in between them.
Exactly.
And I guess that's maybe a bit of what Steiner was trying to do, like trying to mediate between the very materialistic that he saw in his surroundings, and then this visionary sense that he felt inside of him. And he tried to put that out in a practical school or curriculum or architecture or whatever.
Exactly. But he also saw this dreamy thing. He also saw the backsides of that, I think, in this Theosophical Society, where it didn't lead to anything practical at all. They were just like dwelling on this. And so he saw like the backsides of both, and that's where it also comes in that they can balance each other, so to speak, those two poles.
I want to ask you about a little specific thing, because I think I had more of a simplistic view of the myths when I read your book. Like the hero is just the hero, and the princess is the one who's being saved. I hadn't encountered the image where the princess is holding the thread before.
No.
And it's around the dragon's neck. What does that mean?
She tames the dragon in the end of the story.
The princess does as well.
Yeah. He what do you call it? He throws it to the ground, but then she takes it and leads it to the town with her, this red belt. And you can also see that on many medieval paintings. You can see this princess leading the dragon like this. And what do you want to ask about?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
guess what is the significance of that? Because before I had the dragon, which is like adversity or something.
Yeah.
And then there's the prince, who is the hero who confronts this, whether it be external or internal to himself.
Yeah.
And then there is the either gold or the princess, which is like,
Yeah.
I guess, the reward for men who confront
Yeah.
evil in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
But then there is the princess also sort of being a part of this taming.
Yeah. Exactly.
What do you think that's about? You wrote about it.
Yeah. I think both gold and the princess, they are not rewards. They are the opposite. They are the thing calling to you to change yourself. To me, it's like that. So I went on writing about it in the second book. I call the princess that you know who you want to be. That is the princess to me. Inside yourself, when you do something that you don't really like yourself, it's the princess looking upon you and saying, you're better than this, so to speak. It's that thing in you. So it's like the ideal, I think, that actually makes you want to develop. So yeah, that's my standpoint about the princess, what she represents, so to speak. Yeah, that's why she drags the dragon behind her, because we have this like, we want meat and Coca-Cola and entertainment, everything that the dragon wants, or power, or sex, or and the princess for me is everything that wants you to give to other people and look to the whole picture, and something like that.
Another thing that I didn't quite understand, you draw a comparison between the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's something about Trinity asking Neo about what the question is, and the question is the purpose.
Yeah.
And then that is connected to Paul saying that love is above all else.
Oh.
What's the connection there?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think The Matrix was a film that really spoke to me, and maybe to you as well, I guess. I'm just asking. No.
I guess I was intrigued now over the past years, having learned quite a lot about like story and structure and how many things fit together through the development over, like, I guess, the centuries.
Yeah.
There are always narratives that come back.
Yeah.
And then they were like, I saw some signs of that in the names. I guess Neo, because he is some kind of savior character.
Yeah.
And then Trinity with a very Christian undertone, obviously.
Yeah.
And it has to do with truth in some manner, because there are two realities and they're kind of stuck in a false world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there was this connection to Paul of Corinthians and the supremacy of love, and I didn't quite see it. I wonder what you think you were intuiting when you wrote that.
Yeah, I can't really grasp it right now, actually. But when I saw The Matrix, I knew that it was like, yeah, it's the strangest thing, isn't it? That to me, I think some of the most important movies to me were like the original Star Wars and The Matrix and Lord of the Rings and films like that, not like what you would call like serious movies maybe, but in some sense I think these kind of almost mythological movies, they always spoke to me, and in some sense I think they are the most serious of all films, because they are actually talking about this, like your inner self and your outer self, and it couldn't get any clearer than in the Matrix, that because the Matrix, you can see it in two ways, but in one way of seeing it is that they are living in this materialistic world, but that is only Maya, it's only an illusion actually, and there is like a real world. But it gets confusing in this film, because in some ways the real world is more material than like the Matrix. So it's a little bit confusing in this film, I think. But I think all people who wants to develop, who are like searchers, or they have this sense, it can't be only this, this feeling. It can't be only this. You know there is something more to life, and that comes. It's very clear in the beginning of the Matrix film. I think this sense that I have felt myself, and I think also sounds a little bit sectaristic maybe, because I went to Waldorf school myself, and then I went out like in the normal society and worked for 5 years or something, 5 or 6 years, and then I felt, oh, I have to go back in again because I was missing like this dimension in life, and it's the dimension that is meaning. It's like, yeah, something like that, the meaningful.
And some meaning that is transcendent, not merely like semantic, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when I saw the Matrix, I think that they nailed it. They just um, grasped this feeling that I had when I was missing this dimension into life, and what is it? And to make the connection to Paul and love. I don't know if I shall go into this now. It's such a complicated, for me to explain it. It's so complicated actually.
Is the transcendent meaning, is that connected to love? Is
Yeah,
it love?
yeah, it is love actually.
I think
Yeah.
it was at the very end of the book.
Yeah.
A phrase stood out because it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah.
And it's religious experience.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, it's like awe, right?
Yeah.
Förundran.
Yeah.
And love and flow, maybe.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same.
It's the same feeling.
Exactly.
And maybe the best thing that brings them all together is meaning. And it is transcendent in a way, it is eternal in a way, because the sense you get in that state is this small material, seemingly insufficient and meaningless, like existence that we're in. It's just like I die in 80 years.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
But in that state, in that which we call religious experience, meaning,
Yeah.
it feels like it doesn't matter.
No.
This feeling exists in this small little world that I'm in, and therefore, like, that is eternally meaningful in some way.
Yeah.
If we can just make more of that, this is all worthwhile, even though we die in 60 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You said it better yourself, actually. Yeah, very good. Yeah, exactly like that. I mean, exactly like you said now. I couldn't find the words for it. Yeah, that's it. Because when you come to this conclusion, like you said, you actually... Your like death and anxiety disappears in a way. That's the strange thing about it. It's like, yeah.
It's the problem of pain, right? Because there is pain, and that's what causes us to think about these things.
Yeah.
Whatever we try to do, if it's worthwhile, it's gonna be painful in some way.
Always.
And
especially the big changes, they gonna feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what is the sense in that when it's all gonna end and we don't know what happens?
Yeah.
But these small instances of transcendent meaning, the religious experience, in those we don't doubt. It's like the pain, this is stronger than the pain.
Yeah.
If this exists, then I will deal with pain as it comes.
Yeah, because you don't focus on yourself anymore. When you are in flow, or when it feels meaningful, then you stop to think about yourself, and then you don't really feel the pain in the same sense. It is like that. Maybe when you do something meaningful, then afterwards, I think all the athletes, they know what we're talking about. Of course, they play the game, or they wrestle, or they kickbox, or whatever they do, and they don't really feel the pain doing it.
Right.
But when they come home and sit down on the couch, then of course they feel what they have been doing, and their ears turned into these strange formations and stuff like that. Yeah.
And the strangest connection, at least I think, is to like experiences of beauty. Something as weird as music, which is just like compressions in the air, in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That can bring about that feeling.
Yeah.
Or, the great pieces of art.
Yeah.
Expressions of aesthetic beauty. There's a big emphasis on that in Waldorf as well.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what makes me so upset when the modern modern person says, like, it calls music or art for content on the internet. It's like, this is not content. I want to avoid swearing, but you know, it's so stupid that they don't. It seems like no one feels anything then. They just put like content into a platform, and it's like stuff. Yeah. But when you make music, or when you paint, or when you dance, or when you make love, for that sense, so whatever meaningful thing you do, it's not content. It's living.
It's like the vehicle and the purpose in one.
Yeah.
The journey and the purpose. That's like kind of a definition of art.
Yeah.
Because when we get our material needs met, if we have everything we need, we start like either playing or making art.
Yeah.
and it's a continuation of doing something in the material world, but it's also like the end goal. It's kind of, we do art because we want to. It drives us in some way, but it's also the goal. It's strange.
Yeah. Sometimes when you make when people make art, I think like the Beatles, they wanted to make like a new single or a new album, or they have like an end goal for. It can still become like great art, I think, but I think my best experiences with art is when you don't really I don't know, when you are just into it, but then your mind is always telling you that it should become something. I think yeah, so yeah, that's like the struggle, I think. And some, at the same time, when you think that it should become something, then you start doing it. So it's no good or bad here. I think it's more like, it's like a question. But I think I have that in that book that you read. It's Schiller, the Schiller quote that man is, the human being is most human being when making art or playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something there that the two poles again, like this dreamy and this very materialistic or rationalistic. Yeah.
Usually the rational is a bit behind. Like if you've really been in that state of creation without purpose, you don't really know what you're doing.
No.
Usually like 6 months after something, you're gonna be flipping through your little notebook or whatever, and you see that thing and like, oh, this is what I've been looking around for, and this is what I need to learn. Like, this is containing in image or whatever form it is, the concepts I've been wrestling with, and only now, recently, like months after this, have been able to formulate in a more explicit manner. I guess that was the whole thing that Jung was working a lot on, like the unconscious is always before the explicit conscious understanding.
Yeah. I know a piano player from Norway. He's a really good piano player, but then he started to think that he should be more aware of in what way he's playing and when he's doing what, and just because he wanted to like develop his understanding about music in this sense, and then he notices that he's playing much worse than before because you also know this because I can see in the background that you are playing very many different instruments. But it's the same on every instrument, that actually your more dream state is a better musician actually in many ways. So maybe when you practice you can be like focused and now I'm going to practice this, but after getting into the muscle memory, the muscle memory side of you is a much better musician, I would say.
Yeah. Maybe oftentimes language is the best analogy, because we have learned the vocabulary and the grammar and the structure and everything now for us to be able to just improvise with each other. So sometimes you have to use those like theoretical approaches or conscious things to internalize the vocabulary and structure.
Yeah.
But then when you have that, when those are just in your fingers or in your speech apparatus, then we can just, I don't know what's going to come really out of my mouth next.
Of course.
And there's something, it's kind of this feeling state that you've been talking a bit about that's just driving. It's like an intention, but I don't know exactly how it's going to come out.
Yeah.
And on the receiving end of it, you get all these ideas popping up all the time, and they're grabbing from like things that are close by, like they're similar but not the same.
Yeah, and then comes the question of free will. But maybe we don't go into that today.
Oh.
But it's interesting when you are automatically responding to what other musicians are playing, and you have like an idea, but from who came that idea really? It's sometimes a question, and maybe you also write songs like I do, and then after a year when you listen back to your recordings, it's who wrote this? Oh, it was me. But it's like a mystery. You don't understand who wrote this. You don't remember having the idea, and sometimes it's mysterious. So, and it's the same thing writing books, actually, that sometimes it's like, oh, I got help from someone on this part of the book. I couldn't.
Muses
really
are
come
close
up
by.
with this. Yeah, it feels like that sometimes.
Let's turn a little bit. Teaching. What's your favorite thing about being a teacher?
It's, I think it is that, it never stops developing for me. I think that is one of my favorite things. So, of course, I love people, actually. I love to teach children, and I think that is like kind of tragic situations, because I always see some teachers who don't really like children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always wondering, what are you doing here? Go somewhere else and do something that you love. I think, and that is like a main problem. I think that some teachers don't understand that that you have to be interested in people, in children, in parents, in colleagues, and that is key, actually, to this profession. But when you are like that, then I find that okay, I sometimes have like periods when I am like weak and I'm not really a good teacher, and I'm not really satisfied with myself. But then comes other periods when I really think that it goes kind of good, and then it's all worth it again. And I think that it's like being a gardener, I think, to be a teacher. That when you are a young gardener, then you have you are more like an architect, I would say. You have plans how you should do it, and here we should have like rose bushes, and here we should have like an apple tree, ideas like that. But I think the older I get and the more experienced I get, I'm more like exploring the garden. I'm coming into the classroom, and I am actually interested in the people in that classroom. And that gardener, like the gardener of that kind, would be more like, oh, here's something grows, maybe we can make it grow a little more, It could be like that. So, and I think that is hard for a young teacher. I think that is you get like secure in a way when you get older, because you get this feeling, I have done this, and then you can start to explore this kind of teaching. Um, so that's why I enjoy being older in that sense, I think. And I got like a really good tip from a teachers from teacher training. And it is like this: when you approach the child, you should have like two thoughts in your mind that you radiate in the sense that you can say, you can like mentally tell the child that you are teaching, you are important, and you and me, we work together. Yeah. So and that was like key to me to go on developing as a teacher. When I started to approach my work like this, it all fell into place, I think, for me.
What about the worst part?
Yeah, the worst part, that it's that you are like an animal. You are like a human being in the like material sense, that sometimes you are tired and work is like too much, and you have too many things that you have to do, and maybe you said yes to a few more things that you actually don't have the time for. And yeah, it's all that, I think.
The worst thing about being a teacher is that you have to be a human to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is the worst thing. Yeah.
Jens, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tell everyone, at least the Swedish speakers, I guess, how they can find your books.
Yeah. Aha, okay, yeah. For the Swedish speakers, de svenska tittarna, you can buy the books at what is called Bokus online, or in Robygge, the physical store and online store that sells like specific Waldorf and anthroposophical things.
And what are they called?
They are called Kärnan i waldorfpedagogiken and Världen i waldorfskolan.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.